It is a pleasure to be talking to BT Hale anytime because not only does he have a trust and wealth management and a law degree from Campbell, he was also a Campbell mascot and cheerleading alum and was homecoming queen king here at Campbell. Now look, now this should be an hour-long podcast just on its own, but he is here with us right now because premiering this Tuesday, September 30th at 10 Eastern on NBC. BT is one of 10 creatives competing in a brand new reality competition called On Brand with Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, that Jimmy Fallon. So, BT, first of all, love the outfit as always, repping Camel as always. But if you can tell me about this new show and how the heck did you land it?
Man, it's a crazy story. I've even from ever since my CU days, I've been interested in, the reality TV shows. While I was at Campbell, I applied to be on Real World and made it to like the finals to be on Real World, but didn't actually make it all the way through. Um, so because of that, I've always just like applied for things. And well, one of the more recent ones I applied for was Big Brother and made it to the finals. They flew me out to LA, everything, but got cut last minute. But because of that, the casting directors had my information in the Rolodex type thing. And so when this opportunity popped up, one of them reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, we think you'd be great for this show. It kind of matches, what you do." And I looked at it because, people have reached out to me about shows before, but, I didn't want to be on TV just to be on TV. I wanted to be like connected to the show or, the concept. And this was one that I thought, really seemed cool because it was a marketing competition show. Um, and at the point when we were applying, we didn't know that Jimmy was the host. So that was like a huge surprise. But I was like, you know what? We'll give it a shot. I applied, went through, a couple different steps in that process, and then found out I made it. And that's when they told us, when we found out we made it, is when they told us that Jimmy was the host. And that was like, whoa. So this is way bigger than what I had realized when I, agreed to go through with the casting process.
Well, I guess that would be first and foremost. I mean, Jimmy Fallon, the executive producer, but he is the host of the show. I mean, you're calling him Jimmy, which says enough right there. Talk about working alongside this TV icon.
It was really crazy because you never know what to expect when you meet these people that we look at through the television and, that you never see in real life. But Jimmy was the same person that you see on TV, like on set. That from the moment he stepped on the set, even before the cameras were rolling, Jimmy was just Jimmy. So it was pretty cool to like see how, he's just got that energy, that positive attitude all the time. Very fun loving. And then the other host is Bozeman St. John's. She's on the Real Housewives, but she's also just like super decorated in the marketing world. Like she's literally in the Marketing Hall of Fame. So they brought up a good duo because, she brings all of the credentials, the marketing experience. Jimmy's got the, fun, passion, entertainment side. So it was cool to see them work together and bring the show to life.
And about this show, it's going to premiere, and we're going to see and know a whole lot about it. But tell us what you can tell us about this competition, where it seems like every week you're trying to come up with a brand new marketing campaign for some iconic brands.
Yeah, it was a lot because, just for example, I'll give you so for part of the casting process, what they had us do was do two things that would be similar to what we would do on the show. So the first one was, McDonald's. McDonald's is looking to give Ronald McDonald an update. So we had to come up with an idea for Ronald McDonald to be updated. We had to come up with, a whole campaign built around that. And then the other one was Taco Bell. Taco Bell's looking to become the go-to hangover spot. I know we're not allowed to talk about hangovers at Campbell, but but it's the go-to hangover spot. And so come up with a meal deal or a merchandise item that will get people excited about going to Taco Bell the next day. And so, it's just stuff like that. Some fun stuff. They talk about it in the commercial Southwest. We had to come up with a plane wrap. So you're going to literally see these ideas that people came up with put onto a plane for Southwest. For Dunkin' Donuts, we came up with a meal deal that you're going to see somebody's meal deal, the winner of the meal deal contest, literally their meal deal is going to be available to purchase, nationwide. So all of these things, you know, they have real life impact after the show, which is cool to see. But yeah, it's just everything like Sonic. We were told to create a drink. You know, uh, KitchenAid. We were told to make up a web content series. Just all types. Fairbody. We were told to make a commercial. So it's just there's all types of things that they asked of us, and it's pretty cool to see everything come to life. And then it's going to be extra cool to see it come to life after the show.
Yeah, and I guess that's where we can start when we talk about getting into the show. You're doing all of this high pressure situation while you realize you're on national TV and there's cameras and microphones everywhere. What was that whole process of like just being on a reality show?
It's a lot different than I expected because it's a lot of hurry up and wait when it comes to the reality show. Whereas sense of like Big Brother, you're sitting in a house and you're being recorded 24/7. Well, this wasn't like that. I mean, it's all filmed and it's all real. Like we didn't have a script or anything to go off of, but we are waiting to film, and so there was a lot of like hurry up and wait, which was kind of something that you don't think about. So a lot of like long days. We would leave the hotel at like 7 in the morning, ride to the studio. Very first thing, we always start out with hair and makeup, which I'm a little upset my hair and makeup team didn't follow me to today's podcast, but I couldn't get them booked in time. But that was a unique thing, like, because I've never started my day with hair and makeup, so that was a unique process. So we'd start with hair and makeup. Obviously, the girls would take a little bit longer during that process because they have more to do. So a lot of it for the guys, we're just sitting there waiting for everybody to get ready, and then there's so many moving parts because this show production was huge. And obviously, I don't know that because of the fact that I've been on all types of different productions, but people that were there, like our handlers, other people that, our story person, they were like, yeah, this is one of the biggest productions I've ever been a part of because the amount of cameras that are there, the set, it was astonishing. So I feel like I'm kind of spoiled at this point because it was so big. But being under those lights, being on camera, that was all the natural part to me. I mean, I've always liked to say I'm an entertainer. I love to entertain. I love cheerleading. I loved being the mascot. So being under the bright lights wasn't hard. The hard part was definitely like, you know, coming up with these campaigns because it's unlike anything that I've ever experienced in my role in the real world.
Man, that sounds amazing. And you were telling me too when we were talking before we started recording this that the fact was you shot this way back in April. You couldn't say anything about it to anyone until they really started this rollout, which just happened about a month ago. What was that like keeping all of this bottled up inside?
Oh yeah, it was so crazy because we were filming for like 20 to 25 days, somewhere in that range. So I'm gone to New York, New Jersey, away from my family, away from work for that long. And then, just interacting with all these people that are, Jimmy Fallon that we see on TV, all these huge brands, being up in New York. And it was like a whole nother experience in life. And I get back and I literally just like can't talk about it to, anybody. Luckily for me, the job that I'm working at now, we're opening up another venue in Houston. So I kind of had to like an easy, oh yeah, I've been in Houston, because everybody asks, where you been? Where you been? Oh yeah, I've been in Houston, getting some work done out there. So I had a little bit of an easy access to an excuse, but still it's just, you had all this excitement and you had all this fun that just happened and you come back and it's like it never happened. So it was very strange. Like it's like it almost felt like a dream, like I had just lived an alternate reality and I've moved back home, and now it's like life comes back as you know it. And then we couldn't talk about it until they announced the cast, which was not until September 1st. So yeah, that was exciting.
Well, and now I guess tell me about the fact, will you be watching the final episode, which premieres, of course, Tuesday, September 30th? 10 Eastern and 9 Central on NBC. Will you be watching it along with us? Do they give you a peek at it so you know what to expect and prepare for, or how does that part work?
We have no clue about what's coming. So only
Wow.
yeah. So the only thing we've seen are the little snippets they've put out as like the teaser trailers that I've shared a couple on my social medias. We have no idea. And just like any type of TV, they're going to have fun editing us the way they want to. So, I'm in a group chat with some of my castmates, and we're all a little bit nervous about how they're going to cut us down because all of our pitches were meant to be, I want to say, I think it was 3 minutes. It's either 2 or 3 minutes long, and there's no way they're going to show our whole pitch, so it's like they're going to have to cut all those down. So seeing what they pick, and what, because they're all about creating a TV show. They're creating the storylines, they and I was going to say drama, but they're not really. This isn't like really a drama filled show. And even when they tell us in the casting process, like, hey, you know, this isn't actually like your typical, Survivor, Big Brother. It's not going to be cutthroat competition. We want it to be, kind of happy, upbeat to match Jimmy's vibe. So it wasn't really like a huge, cutthroat competition. And so there wasn't a lot of drama, I would say. But as far as like some of these ideas and how they're going to cut them, I'm very interested to see, because as you guys might know, if you know me or if you have ever seen me, I am a very eclectic character. And let's just say my pitch style is definitely very unique from everyone else's. So I know they can make me look crazy as ever if they want to.
Well, we can't wait to watch along with you. Okay, you mentioned it a little bit. You've been very successful in the quote unquote real world. So tell us about your day job and what you've been doing, and about your family and your life down there in Texas now.
Yeah, so I you know, uh have three beautiful babies that I enjoy in our family together. And Braden, Charlie, and Bron. His name is Brondon, because the B in BT stands for Brandon. So it's Brandon Tyler, and his name is Brondon Tyler, because LeBron's my favorite player of all time. So I got Mama to work that in there for us. But yeah, no, just being a dad has been, one of the things I've always wanted to be my whole life. And, they played that up in the show for sure. Like, because I'm kind of like the dad from Texas. One of the places I work at is a honky tonk. Everybody at Campbell might maybe plug your ears out there. you know. So that's because I do marketing, social media. I have a couple different clients. My biggest client would be Cowboys Red River, and we have a honky tonk in San Antonio as well, where it's an even bigger venue. We've had like Jelly Roll played there last year. Megan Maroney, we just had her a few months
Wow.
ago. Yeah, and Chris Young actually is a popular, country artist. He
Yeah.
started in Red River's house band, um, before he, made it big. So, there's just a lot of tradition that, comes through Red River as a honky tonk. It's like nothing I've ever experienced. There's nothing in North Carolina that I can point to and be like, this is what it's like. And it's funny because I got a lot of practice with, because the name of the show's On Brand. So it's all about, staying true to what the brand is about and giving them some marketing. Well, at Red River, people always say, oh, drinking, partying, whatever. But that's actually not what my boss wants us to sell at all. He's all about selling like guy meets girl, come be able to dance, have a good time. But it's more about the connection that you make, because anybody that's worked in like a night club entertainment, knows that the bars and nightclubs, it's all about like what's the new hot spot. So it's very hard to stay relevant in that industry with one concept. That's why you see people constantly changing, the industry concepts. Well, Red River's been around for 30 plus years at this point, and it's because that's not the focus. The focus isn't that side of it. It's the, come see live music. We have free dance lessons every night that we're open. And it's just every time that anyone comes to visit from out of town, whether, they're someone that I know or they're just like messaging me an email, I always tell them, if you're looking for a true Texas, like honky tonk experience, you got to come check out Red River because that's what you're going to get there. It's a 2,000 person venue, so that's huge. The one in San Antonio's 7,000 people, so it's even bigger.
Wow.
Yeah, so these are pretty big, and then I have a few other clients, but I would say those are my main ones.
I mean, unbelievable success, and as you mentioned a little bit, a long way from Stedman, North Carolina, and Campbell University. You're a North Carolina guy. You grew up not too far away from Campbell. Tell me what got you to Campbell and your experience here.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of stumbled into Campbell. I only applied to two places. It was Campbell and UNC Chapel Hill. Growing up, I was a big Tar Heel fan, and that was kind of like my dream school. Growing up, I was like, "This is where I want to go." But I also liked Campbell because it was, it felt like it had a good vibe. It was close enough to where I grew up, to where I could come back on the weekends to see my mom if I wanted. Um, but I didn't make it into Carolina, and so I thought my life was over at that point. I felt crushed. I remember that was the first time I, like, cried about a goal that I was unable to achieve, because it was just like it felt devastating. But, after going to Campbell, I told you in our first meetup that, like, I was like Mr. Campbell. I was going to all the events. All my friends will tell you, me and my roommate, we went to all the events, the karaoke's, the video award shows, the bingo nights, anything that Campbell was putting on, mud volleyball, anything that Campbell was putting on, we were going to be there. And I was like, man, this is really one of those moments where it's like that unanswered prayers song, where it's like, God really put me at Campbell because that's where I was meant to be. Um, I still love the Tar Heels as, a sports team, but if anybody asks me, would you change anything about where you end up going to school? I always say, no. I love my time at Campbell. Um, I always promote Campbell anytime I get a chance. I think that it's a beautiful fit for lots of people from lots of different walks of life. And that, Campbell is one of those things I feel like it's grown a lot since I've left. So, I can't really speak much about what it's like there now, but I know at least when I was there, it was one of those schools where you're going to get as much out of Campbell as you put into it, type thing, because the school is going to pour into the students, and, give you lots of opportunities because they understand Buies Creek is, is not, some, poppin' metropolis, so it's like, you got to kind of create your own fun, in Buies Creek, which I don't think is a bad thing. And I really enjoyed my time there. And I think that anybody that, is looking for places to go, you should definitely at least give Campbell a look.
Well, absolutely. I want you to know there are some things that changes, but that core that you just talked about it is still there, and it seems to me like it's done for so many people. This was a place where you were be able to be involved in so many places. You really thrive. How did your experience altogether and being the mascot, you were Gaylord for a while, and then you were on the
Yeah.
cheer team. How did that help you when you got out of Campbell?
Well, it was kind of like a funny story about how I got to be Gaylord. So, when you get to college as, a fresh little 18-year-old and you're on your own for the first time, one thing I knew was I wanted to be able to have some money, to do stuff. And so I started looking for a job around campus. And the first one that stuck out to me was with the sports department. So we would work the games. Um, at the soccer games, we were the people that shagged the soccer balls, ran the games, and all that. And I remember one night, whoever it was, they already had somebody that was playing Gaylord at that time. And one night they were sick. And Will Lloyd, shout out to Will. He was one of our, people that were at the top of the thing. He came into us, he goes, "Hey guys, Gaylord's out tonight. We need somebody to jump in there and do it." Well, I was like, you know what? I already love to entertain. I love to dance. I love to have fun. and I don't care if people know it's me. So you're telling me I get to hop in here and do whatever I want. People won't know it's me. So I jumped at that opportunity. I was like, I'll do it. So I went out there, did my thing, no mascot training, just kind of like had fun with it. At the end of that night, I came back and Will goes, "You're our new mascot. I don't care what anybody says. You're going to be Gaylord from now on." And that's that. And I was like, okay. So that's how I came to be Gaylord, and, really enjoyed it. One of the most memorable moments, I think it had to have been before you were there, because it was still at Carter Gymnasium. But so Carter Gym was notorious for how hot it would get in there, right? Because it was just, not exactly air conditioned well.
Yep.
And so there was one night where it was just like extra hot in there. And so I thought, to be funny, I'd go over to, because where the band used to sit, they would always have a cooler, like almost courtside. And I thought it'd be funny. I looked over there, the cooler was open. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm gonna go over there and act like I'm trying to cool off. I'm gonna stick my head down in the cooler, just thinking like the head's gonna be touching the ice, ha ha ha. But I sat there with it in the ice, and because when you're a mascot, you got to give people time to like see what you're doing. So I sat there in the cooler for a while, just to like till I could hear people reacting, and then you start to hear cheers like, "Oh yeah, look at Gaylord, he's cool now," blah blah blah. And I picked my head up. Well, the ice had melted in the cooler, so my head had been stuck in water for like a minute. So by the time I stand up, water just comes pouring out of the Gaylord mouth, to where it looks like literally Gaylord is spitting up water. And I'm talking about, I don't know how it was able to retain as much water as it had, because it's like pouring. And so now I'm like freaking out, because I'm getting the basketball court all wet. And then I'm like, where do I go? And so finally I walk over. The only thing I see is there's a trash can right there. So I bend over. So now it looks like Gaylord's throwing up into the trash can, because all this water that's just pouring out. And to this day, my friends that were there and saw it will not let me live that down, because it was just so funny. I don't remember if they had to pause the game or not, but it was a mess.
VT, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. It was, and that's a fun thing. And, cheerleading. So all that, goes into being able to put yourself out there. The cheerleading thing, that was a brand new experience. If you'd have told me in high school I was going to be a cheerleader, I would have laughed at you. So I played basketball, soccer, tennis, all your traditional sports. And when it came time to be on the cheerleading team, I was like, I don't know. But I was dating one of the cheerleaders at the time, and she really wanted to do it. So that's kind of like practicing to let her do it. She wanted to learn how to stunt. So I was kind of like a guinea pig. Well, it's one of those things where once you try it, you're like, oh man, it's actually kind of fun. And it actually is like a lot of athleticism that goes into being able to toss another human, into the air, until we get to the point where you're holding a human up in one hand, and it's just, it's a lot different than what I expected, growing up. And so just trying new things, being willing to put yourself out there when opportunities come up, has always been a big thing that I got from those experiences. And so, just being prepared when opportunity arises to, take those opportunities and run with them. So that's what I'd say I got from, my time as the mascot, my time as a cheerleader.
Well, BT, you obviously have taken advantage of all of your opportunities, and we can't wait to follow along with you for this one. I know if you're up for it, we're going to get together more as the show goes on, but tell everybody your socials, where we can follow the journey right alongside with you.
Yeah, so you can follow me. It's at Halevision, Haleo Vision. It's supposed to sound like television, but Halevision. And then the show is On Brand, so it's On Brand Agency. And then NBC and Peacock, they're going to be posting a lot of stuff. So you can follow along on there. And yeah, I'm excited for the journey. First up is Dunkin'. A lot of people love coffee. Actually, today is National Coffee Day, if you didn't know that. And I know Dunkin's running a promo. Not that I'm still getting paid to promote them or anything, but I know they're running a promo for free coffee. So if you guys are putting this out on Monday, September 29th, I don't know when you're putting it out, but go to Dunkin' and get you a free coffee today.
Man, that's awesome. As you know, Duncan is taking over North Carolina now all of a sudden. So
Yeah, you know what's crazy is when they said that was one of the brands. You know, like I said, I grew up in North Carolina, live in Texas. So I mean, Dunkin' might have taken over more since I left, but I just remember Dunkin' was just kind of like, oh, it's just donuts. So you know, I'm a Krispy Kreme type of guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not all about
North Carolina.
right. I'm about that hot now sign. So I kind of always just push Dunkin' to the side. But funny enough, even when they told us it was for the brands, I didn't realize they had dropped the donuts part of their name. Did you know? Say, I didn't even know that they were just Dunkin' now, because they were trying to narrow or, expand to people to see them as like a breakfast, coffee spot other than just donuts. So yeah, so that was a unique thing. And, I'm really excited for everybody to see this first episode. It's going to air on Tuesday. They've already teased this, so I can tell y'all, my pitch is based around, the galaxy and aliens, and take me to your Dunkin' is one of my taglines. So I need all of Camel Nation, after y'all watch the episode on Tuesday, I need y'all to go comment on all the stuff you see about On Brand with a take me to your Dunkin', and that way they know that tagline is hitting.
Amen to that. Boy, BT, it's been fun catching up. Best of luck on the show. And like I said, I think it's going to be fun. We're going to check in with you as this show goes on so you can give us the insight to it. Thank you so much, BT, and best of luck.
All right. Appreciate you, Chris.